everybody.
Oh,
Welcome to another amazing episode of our beautiful show, Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life. Today, I have very special guest with me. Gail has become just a really special person in my heart. She became our client earlier this year. And can I tell you, there's sometimes when you meet some people that it seems as though you start wondering, where has this person been all my life? There's just a natural magnetism that pulls you together. Well, that's the way I felt when I met Gail. But you're going to learn a whole lot about Gail in just a few minutes. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that hi, I'm Dr. Davia Shepherd, and I host a women's group called Ladies Power Lunch. Now, you might be thinking, I wonder how I can join Ladies Power Lunch. Well, funny you should ask. It's really simple and it's 100% free because Ladies Power Lunch is just a place where women and a few amazing men who feel as though supporting each other is what helps us all to grow. That's where we hang out. It's at Ladies Power Lunch, and we're located at growsmarter.com/. Facebook. That's where you can find us. You're welcome to come join us. And we only have one rule, that you're committed to all of us supporting each other. If you feel the way I feel, then we welcome you. That's thing one. Thing two is that our Ladies Power Lunch Spring Summit is coming up on March 20th. And I want to give you a special invitation to come and join us. If you want to know more about our outstanding event, which is going to be an opportunity, first and foremost, for us to raise our vibrations. Secondly, for us to lay some foundational pieces for our businesses so that our businesses can be unbreakable. And thirdly, for us to lay some foundational pieces so that we can be unbreakable, then you're absolutely invited. Go to growsmarter.com/ticket, and that's where you can find out more about our upcoming summit, which you can attend either in person or you can attend virtually. No, on with the show. Hi, Gail. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so
hi,
happy that
Dr.
you're
Davia.
here.
I'm
So,
very happy
Gail,
to be here.
I'm just elated, really. I would love, though, for you to share with everybody, who are you? And tell us a little bit about the wonderful things that you're doing in the world.
I would be honored to. I'm a life coach, a certified life coach, and I'm a seminar leader. I have my MSW. I studied at the Albert Ellis Institute for Rational Emotive Therapy. I'm a master in neurolinguistic programming. I basically utilize a holistic approach when I'm working with people. And I've designed 6 different seminars to support people around the country. I've been doing this for about 35 years. And probably about 2,000, 3,000 people have been through the seminar program in 35 years. And they're one-day workshops and 2-day seminars, which are retreats, where transformation really shines. And I love what I do. I've designed and created a woman's book in conjunction with another woman. So I'm an author, and I have 4 different healing meditations that people can listen to relax, to go back inside, and to do some healing, which I actually designed while I was in healing.
That's so beautiful, Gail. It's interesting to me that you've been a life coach for, you're saying, over 30 years.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a long time. So,
Yep.
how did you even get into the life coaching business? Because if you've been a life coach for over 30 years, that means that you've been a life coach before being a life coach was the thing, before
That's right.
a lot of people even knew what a life coach was.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I started off doing the normal counseling that I was trained to do. And quite frankly, I found that for me, I wanted to expedite the healing process for people so that they weren't in a stuck mode in between sessions. And so I did a lot of research into what is out there and what can support people in a more enhanced way. So I began taking a bunch of different seminars from all over the country. I must have taken 75 different seminars from other people so that I could grow and learn myself and therefore be able to support other people. So life coaching started to become part of how I was with people on a holistic plane. I wanted to know about their environment, their relationships, their relationship with self. What are their patterns, their addictions? What stopped them from achieving the goals that they wanted to achieve and be as happy and as successful in life as they truly wanted to be. So I started to reprogram my program so that I could expedite the success of others so they could feel more positive about the outcome. So I called it life coaching before it was life coaching. And when it became life coaching, I started to laugh because actually I was doing that myself.
So you were actually guided to call what you were doing life coaching even
Yes.
before the term life coaching showed
Yes,
up.
that's
That's
correct.
amazing. Oh my
Yeah, that's
gosh.
correct.
Gail, that's, in my opinion, an indication of guidance. I can't think of any other way to put that. So, who comes to see you? Who's the kind of person that you find that you're able to help the very, very best?
It goes across the gamut. Quite frankly, leaders, teachers, people in general from every walk of life. There isn't one specific type of person, but it is a person that is aware enough that they know they want to have better results in their life. They want to feel better about who they are, and they want to have better relationships. So people from that actually have addictions have come to me. People that have limiting patterns and they feel stuck have come to me. Couples who need support in their relationships. So that's why I say it goes across the gamut, and it's really every person out there. There isn't one specific type of person. It's just someone that wants to make a difference in their life. And I love what I do. So I have a passion about it. And making a difference in people's lives is really what it's all about for me.
That's wonderful. Our theme for this group of episodes is build your unbreakable business. And I know that a lot of people who you are able to help, they come to you because they're stuck in patterns that are holding them back in terms of their business, in terms of them being able to support the people that they've been called on to serve. So, as we're leaning into this idea of building our unbreakable business, do you have any tips for us? Any do's and don'ts, things that as a life coach you can see that we might be doing wrong, or things that we should be doing more of in order to really build ourselves in that unbreakable way so that we can be supportive of our business?
For the suggestion that I have is get to know who you are. Be more aligned in your purpose and your vision. Get clearer about what it is you actually want to have actualized. What is it that your goals are so that you can alter some of the beliefs that you may have so that you open up a new paradigm and a new perspective of what you actually want to create. Because if you don't have clarity about who you are and where you want to go and your next action steps, you're going to have a difficult time getting there unless you get support from other team players, a collaborative feeling that will initiate and support you in achieving the results that you want. So getting clear with who you are. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve it? And what are your next action steps? And sometimes it takes mentoring with someone else that's already there so that you can be inspired.
When people come to you and you find that they don't have the kind of clarity of purpose, clarity of self that they would require in order to build that unbreakable spirit, to be able to be the eye of the hurricane, because the fact of the matter is life is always going to be happening around us every single
Yes.
day. But being able to have that inner fortitude, to have that resilience is what can keep us going. When people come into you and you realize they don't have that clarity, what are some of the exercises that you invite them to embark upon in order to get some clarity?
I ask them to, well, first of all, I teach them how to go inside and realign with their purpose. Close their eyes, block out the world, and get some introspection other than the chaos that could be outside and not supporting them in having the vision that they want. So there are specific tools that I utilize. I utilize neurolinguistic programming, which supports people in communicating with themselves and also communicating with the world, and gives you a different perspective of how you could choose to take your next action steps with greater clarity. There are introspective questions that I will ask people so that they can dig down inside and come up with their purpose, because we all know what our purpose is. We may block it with some fear. We may block it with other people's opinions about ourselves. And so it's really about getting to the place of self-love and self-care so that we can then create the relationships we want in life, because it's all about relationships. If you don't have good relationships with your peers or with others, then you don't get referrals. And the truth of the matter is, collaborative teamwork really works. So some of the tools that I utilize are Ericksonian hypnotherapy at times if it's needed, so that they can relax deeply and be able to accelerate the clarity that's really there, but their mind might be blocking it with some limiting beliefs. Is that what you mean, Dr. Davia?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I love that when you started talking about going deeply, I was thinking, okay, maybe you're thinking about some meditation, but it seems to me like you're going even more deeply than
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
I find that very, very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that process works?
It is like listening to a meditation, only it brings you to a very deep place of relaxation where any fear or any stress mode is gone, and you're able to accelerate and accentuate who you really are. And it supports you in anchoring that vision that you want for yourself. So it's a place of deep, deep, deep relaxation, alpha, beta, theta. And then you're able to get to a place where you can, with NLP, anchor it in so that it's almost like the foundation of a house is built. Sometimes it's on a shaky foundation, and you're recreating the foundation of your life one step at a time.
That just ties so beautifully in with our theme of building your unbreakable business.
Yeah.
And of course, by extension, building your unbreakable life? Or is it building your unbreakable life and by extension, building your unbreakable business? Either way, that metaphor of getting back to the foundation
Yes.
feels absolutely right.
Yes.
Any other tips that you would have for us as we lean into the idea of building our unbreakable business?
Um, well, if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to happen. So, belief in self is huge. So, whatever is in the way, cobwebs or whatever clutter is in the way, you need to declutter that. You need to get rid of that. And one of the key ways that I do that is this terminology it's the words you speak and the thoughts you think create your present reality moment to moment. So if the mindset is that you are doing something and you have fear behind it, or you're doing something and you're anxious about it because you need the money or you need to be able to be more abundant, and so it's driving you, that's okay, except you really need to get into a place of balance. So, one way to do that is to create a reframe of any negative limiting beliefs that you may have and reframe them into the positive, because the mind sends a message through the autonomic nervous system back up to the brain. And then we are either stuck in a pattern or we're able to open up, shift our field, and be able to really see with clarity. Another process that really supports people in achieving the results that they want, for me, is not getting stuck on your limiting beliefs as much as altering them and having fun with your limiting beliefs. Because if you don't do that, you're running away from them and it's going to bite you in the butt. Excuse me, but that's the truth. And it's going to happen over and over. So there's a process I do in my 2-day seminars and my 1-day where I have people actually create humor with their limiting character. And they actually can see their character in costume or a dress or a funny hat. So when it's there, it's not frightening. And yet we can then reframe that belief and say, oh no, that's not who I am. That's not what I want. And I choose, that's personal power. I choose to not do this. I choose, I hear what you're saying. Thank you for caring enough to share that with me, and let that go and recreate a new affirmative statement. So that goes into the next process, which is affirmations. I believe with all my heart and soul that not only the words you speak and the thoughts you think create your reality moment to moment, but it's the way you feel about yourself. And if you're saying you're doing all the right things, and yet you don't have that statement, that positive affirmation that will be the part of the foundation of your structure, then it for me, it, and from others that I've worked with, it makes a huge difference. It enhances your life.
There's so much to unpack here, Gail. So, one, I want us to get back to talking about affirmations because I have
Sure,
questions about
sure.
affirmations. But I love what you talked about with the limiting beliefs and talking about adding humor to them. Because for the people who know me well, know that I'm here for a laugh. If there's a way for us to reframe something using humor, I'm here for it 100%. So that was right up my street. But what I realize is that when it comes to being stuck,
Yeah.
lots of people are stuck. This is not a unique phenomenon. As
Mm-mm.
a matter of fact, a lot of people are really, really stuck for a really, really long time.
Yes.
So I want to get back to that conversation about the affirmations because I think
Sure.
there are some questions to be answered there, but I want to dive a little bit into this idea of being stuck, because there are people out there who are watching this right now and they're thinking, well, goodness gracious, I've been doing this thing for 10, 11, 12 years and I'm not getting the results that I want. Maybe I need to go do something else. And then they find themselves doing something else and they're still showing the same kinds of results. What would be your advice for somebody who's finding herself stuck? What's her recourse?
Well, the recourse is altering what you're saying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The mind, the minute that we go into an uncomfortable zone, attempting, and the word is trying, which is like sitting on the fence, and it becomes comfortable for some people sitting on the fence, not going that way or this way, and that becomes like an old shoe that you wear, only it doesn't support you in walking and it doesn't support you in movement. So it's getting you off the fence. And when the minute that change happens, and change is a normal part of growth, the mind and the brain shows an uncomfortable situation. So we feel uncomfortable in this change. And so our comfort zone is now been threatened or challenged. And we want to go back into the comfort zone, which puts us back into stuck mode or our old patterns. And in order to get out of that, we have to change the mindset, because the minute you change what you're saying in your brain, that is when something wonderful is going to show up in an enlightened way for you.
So is this where the affirmations come in?
It is where the affirmations come in. And I want to share with everyone that I've had my own series of adversities and upsets and blockages and health issues. And one of them was I was diagnosed with lupus. And in my mind, that was a death sentence because I had a cousin that died of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that I had been working with John Grinder for a little bit with NLP. He was one of my master trainers. And I decided that there was no way I was going to succumb to this. Now, this is a risky place for me to be talking, because it all depends on how quickly you catch a disease or something that's off in your body. And I may have gone on a different tangent, but I'm going to get us back. The only way I was able to heal is by altering what I was saying to myself. Not just once or twice, consistently, 100 times a day, not in one felt swoop, but morning, lunch, dinner, before I went to bed. I had it on my mirror that I was 100% healthy. I was able to move. My body was already shutting down as far as inflammation. And my husband was in training at that point in time for a marathon. And we live off a big hill. And I could not walk up that hill. But after I started to utilize neuro-linguistic programming and affirmations and changing the words and the beliefs that I had, I didn't even realize it, but I was behind him after 4 weeks of doing this. And with my arms going like this and feeling like I was, Lou Rawls had a song, Wind Beneath My Wings. And I had wind beneath my wings. I passed Joe going up the hill, saying my affirmation all the way. And he just looked at me and said, "What?" And I went, "Yeah." I mean, I surprised myself. So if you can change, and I'm not saying this carte blanche, because that's not true. You have to catch things in the beginning, or maybe not. But I do believe between faith, spirit, mind, body, connection, if you really believe and you say these words over and over, which are a positive attribute of what you want to achieve, you'll get there. Whether it's emotional, physical, financial, it doesn't matter. I mean, I live by these words because I truly believe that if you can change cells, you can change a mindset.
So I hear what you're saying, Gail, and I 100% honor that because I myself, as many of our viewers know, I've had my own brush with the autoimmune, and I've had to really refocus my mind
Yeah.
in order to get past that and to be here where I am now.
Yeah.
So I totally honor that. And I'm also asking, how it's difficult at first sometimes when you are saying affirmations because you said something about really truly believing the affirmation when you're saying it. And in that early stage,
Yeah.
Gail, I can tell you, I wasn't believing my affirmations at all.
Yeah.
How do we get past that point?
Can I share something with that happened?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I had a client. I'm going to use a client. I had a client that came to me. She had very, very low self esteem. Her health was not good. And she had allowed herself to become obese. It wasn't it wasn't medical that created the obesity. It was emotional, and she was really desperate. I worked with her, and after working with her, I had her create adjectives that would be something she can look forward to and be positive about herself. Well, she couldn't come up with anything. So I said, can you create some, go inside and close your eyes and create some powerful adjectives that you could use that would support you and catapult you to the next place that you truly wanted to be. She did. She created positive statements. And I asked her to look into the mirror, which I had in my office, a long mirror. And I said, I want you to look into your eyes because your eyes know the spirit of your child and who you are. And I want you to say your affirmation. She started to sob and she said, I can't say this affirmation. I don't believe it. I said, I get it. I know you don't believe it because your brain is now in an uncomfortable space and it wants to bring back comfort. And what this statement doesn't align with who you know you are. But inside of who you are, you knew the words and the adjectives you needed that would be powerful to create a shift for you. And the only way that you can break through with something like this is to say it consistently. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes work. And I said 100 times a day is what I tell people, and they go, what? And I said, not in one felt swoop, but do it. Put a card up in your bathroom mirror. Put a card on your car without having an accident. And say this affirmation when someone stresses you out or you feel like you're reacting instead of responding. Quietly, if you're around a group of people, say your affirmation quietly to yourself. And so that becomes embedded in the pattern of your mind. And then what happens is it creates a shift in the body that goes back up to the brain in the autonomic nervous system. And you're able to create a shift within 30 days. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens with a commitment and consistency. And yes, it never happens like this. It just doesn't.
I'm glad you're saying this, Gail, because I'm sure we have viewers, listeners, people who are tuning in to this conversation who have tried affirmations and maybe they've tried it and they haven't felt it and they've given up on them. So it's really good that you're reminding us that there is another piece to this puzzle, and that's
Yeah.
consistency and
Yeah.
doing it for at least 30 days to get that embedded and cemented. I love too that you invited her to go within and choose her own words, because one of
Yes.
the things I know is that it's never going to be one size fits all.
No.
And what's going to be your amazing affirmation is probably not going to be the one that works for me. My affirmation, one of my affirmations for 2023 that I've chosen is I am strong. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
that might be neither here nor there to anybody. But for me, when I think of it, I'm channeling Gal Gadot, and I am a beast in my workouts, and it really drives me to do the things that I need to do to keep my body healthy. So it
Yes.
has to be meaningful to the person. I love, love, love these ideas that you're putting forth. As far as building the unbreakable business goes, any last words on that?
Um, on that, okay. We set goals. We
Mhm.
set goals, and like New Year's Eve, we always set goals, or a lot of people set goals, and a lot of people don't follow through because they're goals that they want, but they somewhere in their brain they haven't created that opening that they can achieve them. They may think they can, but they're not there yet. So sometimes creating a different perspective, which can be challenging, is there. So creating goals with the perspective of, and just think about this for a minute. It's like thinking out of the box. If I had 1 year to live on a sheet of paper, how would I want to show up? Where would I like to be? How many vacations would I like to take? What kind of relationships would I like to see more more in balance, more enriched? How much money do I want to earn? What kind of a car do I want to drive? All of it. How are my health objectives and goals? And then on another sheet of paper, the same questions, but get down to 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, and 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 2 weeks of if I had this time to live. Why do you think that would change the perspective of just goal setting? Because now it's a whole different perspective. Now you really know that if that was true, and God forbid it's not, but if that was true, how important are achieving those goals now compared to just writing your goals? It puts a different perspective on it. And that's what I would say to people. Look at, creating what you want to create in your life. It's not just about your business, it's about your life, it's about your relationships. And relationships, again, with business go hand in hand. It's what it's all about.
This is golden. I think that people could go back, rewind this whole episode, and just from the beginning right to at least to this point, just take notes and implement all of these things that you're saying and actually see big shifts and big changes taking place in their lives. At the end of most of our shows, we tend to pull a card from one of the many, many card decks that we have available to us. I look at it, I was mentioning to Gail earlier, I look at it from the point of view that our brains pick out the pieces that are relevant to us. So I don't know enough about oracle cards for it to be predictive, but I know enough to know which messages feel right for me. And so, for those of you who are watching us, when we air for the very first time, we'll be airing on Valentine's Day. And I thought, since it's Valentine's Day, the perfect card deck to pull from would be this Alana Fairchild deck called Love Your Inner Goddess. I feel, yes, Valentine's Day is the perfect opportunity for us to certainly think about the relationships outside of ourselves, but also to think about the wonderful relationships that we can foster with ourselves. So I pulled a card from this deck, and I'm curious to see what you think, Gail, about this card that I've pulled. So this card is called Mermaid Soul, and it says, deep within, you know what excites and inspires you. Right away, I start thinking about how you asked your client to go within and come up with her words of affirmation. That just feels like it fits so very well. It says that your job isn't to decide whether that inspiration is practical, realistic, or even possible. Human beings have been shown throughout history that the ideas which they once scoffed at as being ridiculous or impossible to achieve can become the realities that they rely upon and take for granted as a natural part of their daily lives not long afterwards. Remember when there was no such thing as Google?
Yes.
Remember when there was no such thing as Alexa? My kids don't even know what that life is like. Literally, I heard a news story the other day that nowadays babies' first words are mama and dada. It's Alexa. And I'm not even kidding. You too shall move from doubt to wondering how you ever lived without this passion, idea, or inspiration of yours. Let the universe show off its creative flair for the unexpected and inspirational through you. Do not give up on what truly moves and inspires your heart, for soon enough it will be part of your world. What do you think, Gail? Good card for today?
Yes, it's a perfect card for today. And if there is time, I'd like to talk about my love.
Yes,
Is
because, you know, it's Valentine's Day
yeah.
when we're recording here, but people might be watching at different times. But the perfect thing for us to talk about on this show that is grow your business smarter, but also living your optimal life is to talk a little bit about the relationships that are part of building ourselves in that unbreakable way. So, Gail, can you tell us a little bit about your great love?
I can, and I will. My husband and I met when I was 15. Um, we weren't married. I mean, we met at a dance, and we grew apart, and then we came together, and we created a very magical, passionate romance that lasted until he recently passed away. So I lost my Joe recently, and it's heart wrenching when you have had such an enormous love. And what I want to say to people out there is that when you are with somebody that you love, and sometimes one has to teach the other, and it doesn't mean that one's better or knows more than the other, but it's almost like Joe and I created this balance. First, it was he could not. In going back, it was hard for him to hear that he had done something that hurt me, because feelings are very important. And men have a tendency to not talk about their feelings. So I decided that I would write to Joe early on. This is before there was anything such as Marriage Encounter. And when we did go to Marriage Encounter, he stood up and said, "My wife has been writing to me about her feelings for a long time." And that is because it's a very critical place when you can speak as a woman about what you're feeling without the emotion in your voice. Most men can then hear that, assimilate it, and then be able to write back about what they're feeling. And that is a very important key to be able to create. And Joe and I were able to create, even though, of course, most couples come from two different worlds, and we did. We created a safe space, which I teach couples how to communicate from a safe place so that you can talk about anything. And the most important thing is that we grew together with not just passion, which continued throughout our married life. And again, we would have been married 53 years and 58 years in love. And I miss him every minute of the day. And that I'm so grateful for the love that we shared and our children were able to witness. Because, you know, Valentine's Day is coming, and people really need to know that it's so important to embrace the person that is your partner or your spouse, and let them know how you truly feel, not just on Valentine's Day, but every day. And to be able to feel safe enough to be able to say, this is okay, this is not okay. Joe and I were able to create boundaries that worked, because that's a difficult process when you first meet somebody and you come from two different worlds. But writing took the onus off of deflecting what was really going on. So he could hear those words and I could hear the words without the emotion. However, we were able to teach each other how to listen, really listen to one another, because when you interrupt the other person, it makes that person feel not heard and less than. And the greatest part of loving that Joe and I had was the ability to be able to hear one another. We may not have agreed, but we were able to hear one another. And I am in the process of letting go of the shock of his passing and now experiencing my new reality. And I just want people to learn, love yourself first so that you can then love someone else, and listen to them, hold them, and create the intimacy that you really, truly want, because that comes from the brain and the heart. And that love that I had with Joe is still with me and will continue to be with me for the rest of my life. And I hope it sheds light on every other couple that I work with, because Joe was in the couples seminars with me. And it was just thank you for allowing me to share this, because it's really important for people to know, don't take the other person for granted.
Absolutely. Gail, I really do truly appreciate you sharing this with us, especially coming from the place of having, recently had a loss. I really, really do appreciate that. I absolutely agree with all the things that you're sharing, that we have to love ourselves first.
Yeah.
Before we even dive into this idea of loving the other. And so many of us really struggle with even liking ourselves.
I know. It's true. It is true.
Yes. I love the affirmations that you recommend, because I feel like that's one of the ways that we can really get back to loving ourselves. Because when we were born, we loved ourselves. We loved ourselves something great. I can tell you that because I've seen my babies. And Gail, you've seen your babies too. And their agenda is themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Their agenda is themselves. I used to joke that my babies are so narcissistic, but it's not narcissistic at all. It is that they love themselves and they know what they want, and they are wired for the most part with healthy babies to ask for what they want in the way that they know how to, crying, making themselves heard, that sort of thing. So loving yourself first. I think there's nothing more important than starting there. I love that you would write to your husband and that there was that back and forth communication, that he was able to hear you in the way that he could hear you. And
Right.
it's interesting that you raised that, because I joke about this all the time with our audience. You people who watch along all the time know that my husband, if I'm going to have a conversation with him, his brain is wired so that I need to come with my bar charts and my flow graphs, and I have to have my ducks in a row. I need to know what it is that I'm saying to him, because his brain works that way and I know how he communicates. When he's talking to me, he knows that I'm airy fairy butterflies, unicorns, and clouds in the sky. And so he will talk to me in the way that he knows I will hear him. And it's interesting that you say that we have to be able to hear one another.
Yes.
So that's amazing. And then the listening and the creating a safe space and creating the intimacy that you truly want. I think those are really the foundation for building an unbreakable relationship.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gail, this has been a tremendous conversation. It's been so lovely to talk to you. I truly, truly appreciate you taking the time. And I wonder, people might be thinking, oh my goodness, Gail is amazing. Well, they definitely will be thinking that. Gail is amazing. How can people connect with you? Suppose they wanted to, for example, take advantage of one of your outstanding seminars or retreats. How would
Yes.
they find you?
They can find me on my website, which is www.gailpetrowsky.com, and leave me and send me an email. Again, my email is www.gailpetrowsky.com. And they can also reach me on my business Facebook page, which is also on my website, which is Gail Petrowsky LLC on Facebook. They can call me and leave a message for me at 860-836-4346. And you can listen to the healing meditations just by downloading Spotify or iTunes or Pandora or my YouTube channel. So those healing meditations are something you're going to think it's crazy, but I'm actually listening to myself and other people, because they're so healing that I know I need that at this point in time. And I know other people could utilize that too. But that's the way to get me, and also on LinkedIn.
Beautiful. Gail, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for
Thank
making
you.
time for us. This was tremendously beneficial. And I would even advise, for those of you who've watched right through till the end, go back. There are nuggets here that you can plug right into your life and start playing a whole different game today. Thanks for
Thank you.
watching, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll
And
see you
thank you for
guys.
the opportunity.
Absolutely. I'll see you all on the next show. Bye, everyone.